Nobody wakes up in the morning dreaming about pumping out sewage from underground concrete tanks. It is messy, smelly, physically demanding work that most people actively avoid thinking about. But while everyone is chasing tech startups, dropshipping stores, and automated car washes, a handful of blue-collar entrepreneurs are quietly making six-figure incomes doing the jobs nobody else wants to touch. The economics behind residential septic pumping reveal one of the most resilient, high-margin, and recession-proof service models in the United States. Over 60 million Americans, roughly 1 in every 5 households, rely on a private septic system to handle their daily wastewater. In rural counties, exurbs, and sprawling unincorporated suburbs, municipal sewer lines simply do not exist. Extending public sewer infrastructure costs local governments millions of dollars per mile, which means every new housing development built outside city limits adds permanent customers to the private septic market. For these homeowners, septic maintenance is not an optional luxury like lawn care or pressure washing. If a homeowner ignores their septic tank, toilets back up into bathtubs, sinks overflow with black water, and repair bills can easily hit $30,000 to replace an entire failed drain field. That single physical reality creates non-negotiable demand with zero price sensitivity during an emergency. To understand how the money works, you have to look at the anatomy of a standard residential service call. A typical American single-family home operates a 1,000 to 1,500-gallon concrete or poly tank buried 2 to 4 feet beneath the yard. Over 3 to 5 years, solid waste separates into 3 distinct layers: a floating scum layer on top, clear effluent in the middle, and heavy biological sludge on the bottom. When the sludge and scum accumulate beyond 30% of the tank volume, solids begin spilling over into the delicate leach field lines, threatening complete system failure. Enter the septic pumping operator. A single technician rolls up in a commercial chassis equipped with a heavy-duty vacuum pump and a 3,000-gallon steel tank. In 45 minutes, the operator locates the access lid, removes the inspection riser, lowers a heavy 4-inch suction hose, breaks up the consolidated sludge crust using a high-pressure water jetter, and evacuates every gallon of wastewater directly into the truck. The homeowner swipes a credit card and pays an average invoice of $475 to $650 for standard routine pumping if the lid was buried 6 inches under soil and required hand digging. That is an extra $75. If the effluent filter needs pressure washing or replacement, add another $90. If the operator inspects the tank interior with an optical sewer camera to certify system integrity for a real estate closing, tack on another $250. For an experienced solo owner-operator running 5 scheduled stops a day across a compact geographic territory, a single vacuum truck can easily generate $2,400 in gross billing before lunch. However, the revenue potential is only half the story. The real operational barrier is the upfront capital expenditure. You cannot start a compliant septic pumping service with a pickup truck and a shop vac. The primary revenue engine is the vacuum tanker truck, which represents the largest single barrier to entry in the entire trade. A reliable used commercial vacuum rig, built on a robust Class 7 Freightliner, Peterbilt, or international chassis with 2,500 to 3,500 gallons of tank capacity, currently commands between $75,000 and $110,000. If you buy brand new factory-built equipment equipped with automated hose reels, continuous washdown pumps, and quiet vane vacuum systems, invoice pricing starts around $175,000 and easily passes $230,000. Beyond the vehicle itself, starting up requires heavy commercial liability insurance, environmental spill coverage, commercial auto policies, rooter equipment, mechanical crust busters, soil probes, safety respirators, and hazardous material compliance permits. When you factor in business licensing, initial disposal plant deposits, and operating cash reserves to cover fuel and payroll during the first 60 days, the true all-in startup cost to launch a legitimate single-truck operation lands between $115,000 and $220,000. Once the truck is rolling, the day-to-day cost structure behaves differently than traditional home service trades. In a standard plumbing or HVAC company, materials and replacement parts consume 20 to 30% of the gross ticket price. In septic pumping, your material cost is essentially zero because you are hauling away waste rather than installing expensive hardware. Instead, your primary variable expenses shift toward fuel, route travel time, equipment wear and tear, and wastewater treatment tipping fees. Tipping fees represent the hidden tax of the sanitation industry. Once your vacuum tanker fills up with 3,000 gallons of raw septic septage, you cannot dump it in an open ditch or empty field without violating federal Clean Water Act regulations. Every gallon must be legally manifested and discharged at an approved municipal wastewater treatment plant or dedicated private agricultural septage disposal site. Municipal treatment facilities charge licensed haulers between 6 cents and 14 cents per gallon processed. Emptying a full 3,000-gallon load costs the operator between $180 and $420 at the disposal gate. Route density directly determines whether an operator flourishes or bleeds cash. If an inexperienced operator books 5 jobs scattered across an 80-mile radius, fuel consumption spikes, driver hours drain away in highway traffic, and the truck spends more time burning diesel than pumping tanks. Conversely, an established local company that dominates a tight 10-mile radius can knock out 6 residential pump-outs, dump at a nearby treatment plant during off-peak hours, and keep operating overhead beneath 35% of gross revenue. Let us break down the exact annual numbers for a realistic, well-run single-truck operation run by an owner-operator in a suburban rural U.S. market. Operating 240 working days per year and averaging 5 service calls per day, the business completes 1,200 pumping jobs annually. At an average all-in ticket price of $520, including routine pumping, filter changes, and minor riser adjustments, the truck pulls in $624,000 in top-line annual gross revenue. Now subtract the real operating expenses. Disposal tipping fees for 1,200 residential loads average roughly $120,000. Commercial diesel fuel for the heavy chassis and auxiliary PTO-driven vacuum pumps costs approximately $28,000. Commercial auto, inland marine, environmental liability, and general contractor insurance policies total $22,000. Routine maintenance, heavy-duty tire replacements, valve rebuilds, vacuum pump oil servicing, and equipment depreciation require $35,000. Software, scheduling dispatch, commercial telephone lines, merchant card processing fees, and local advertising total $18,000. After accounting for $223,000 in direct operational overhead, the single truck generates $401,000 in net earnings before owner compensation and corporate taxes. Even after hiring a full-time commercial driver at $75,000 a year with full benefits to take over physical labor, the business leaves over $300,000 in clean net operating profit for the equity owner. Yet, despite these lucrative margins, the septic industry holds a critical operational counterbalance. Customer retention is structurally slow. Unlike a residential pest control route or lawn maintenance company that bills clients monthly or bi-weekly, a septic customer only needs pumping once every 3 to 4 years. If you pump a homeowner's tank on a Tuesday, that specific customer will not generate another dollar of pumping revenue until 48 months down the road. This multi-year service cycle creates a brutal feast or famine treadmill for amateur operators who rely purely on emergency Google ads and word of mouth. If an operator stops acquiring new clients, cash flow quickly evaporates. This is why the most profitable septic enterprises never treat pumping as an isolated one-off transaction. Instead, high-margin operators use the initial $500 pump-out as an acquisition tool to sell high-value ancillary services. When an operator pumps a tank, they gain direct physical access to inspect the underground components of the system. Concrete distribution boxes crack, baffle tees break, mechanical aerator motors seize up, and drain lines get clogged with tree roots. Installing an exterior fiberglass riser to bring a buried access lid to ground level costs $80 in plastic materials and takes 20 minutes to screw into place, yet bills out at $350. Replacing a damaged submersible effluent pump in an engineered dosing chamber yields an $800 gross profit on a 2-hour job. Jetting a clogged 4-inch drain line with 3,000 psi water pressure adds $400 to an existing invoice with 0 additional material costs. More importantly, the real gold mine in the septic industry lies in automated digital tracking. Smart operators log the precise GPS coordinates, tank size, lid depth, and filter specifications of every tank they service into a customer management database. Exactly 36 months later, the automated system triggers a personalized reminder text and email to the homeowner. Your 1,000-gallon tank at 12 Elm Street is due for its 3-year state-recommended pumping cycle. Because homeowners have no desire to shop around for sewage services, recurring booking conversion rates on automated recall reminders exceed 60%. By year 5 of operation, a diligent company builds a rolling portfolio of thousands of automated recurring clients, creating an annuity-like cash flow moat that competitors cannot easily disrupt. The biggest mistake newcomers make in this trade is competing on price. Cheap operators market $300 pump-outs on social media, underestimating disposal surcharges and truck replacement reserves. When their vacuum pump blows an internal rotary vane or the transmission fails on an 8-year-old chassis, they lack the capital reserves to stay operational. The most successful septic entrepreneurs position themselves as reliable, high-end environmental utility specialists who invest in pristine branded equipment, arrive on time, protect the homeowner's lawn with turf protection mats, and provide complete digital inspection reports. At the end of the day, the economics of owning a septic tank pumping service prove that real wealth is often hidden in the least glamorous corners of the American economy. You do not need to build complex software, raise venture capital, or master algorithmic marketing to build a multi-million-dollar enterprise. As long as millions of American homes flush toilets beyond the reach of city sewer pipes, someone with a commercial truck, a heavy vacuum hose, and a disciplined business model will continue to collect steady, high-margin cash flow week after week.